You might believe gratification is a gift, but in reality, it is a clever camouflage. Imagine if every sweet taste, every digital swipe, every fleeting physical touch, or every quick laugh were merely ghosts in disguise, hiding a much more ancient and agonizing truth. Think back to the final time you felt truly whole without grasping for a fix. Not just distracted, not just amused, but profoundly settled, beyond the reach of any craving. We inhabit an era overflowing with stimulation, yet our inner selves are starving. Carl Jung suggested that the very comforts we pursue are often the invisible chains preventing our restoration. Today, your perspective on desire will shift forever. Let us begin. Picture this. You wake up and reach for your device, acting on a reflex you cannot explain. There is no crisis to manage, no genuine delight waiting. However, the routine is more powerful than your hunger. A short video makes you smirk for a moment. You chuckle and immediately dismiss the memory. Then you see another and another, until the entire afternoon disappears within that endless scroll, though the internal void remains. You set the screen down and perhaps seek out something sugary or salty. Then the shame arrives. You were never actually hungry, and that something was not nutrition. It was not a chemical hit either. It was stillness. It was a getaway. It was a sanctuary from the inner turbulence you have never dared to vocalize. Let me explain Jung's perspective. He argued that every individual possesses a shadow, a secret identity buried under layers of noise. In this context, pleasure acts as a spade. When you consume food without appetite, when you browse without interest, or when you chase lust without affection, you are not selecting happiness. You are selecting a sedative. Here is the bitter reality. Most enjoyment is not enjoyment at all. It is a temporary vacation from self-reflection, but it carries a heavy cost. Every hit of artificial joy deepens the famine for the real thing. When we fail to find it, we assume we are broken. We are not. We are merely oblivious. Oblivious to how we have been trained to mistake a flight from reality for a life well lived. Oblivious to the fact that the satisfaction we hunt is frequently a red flag, not a cure. Let us descend further. Imagine you are 6 years old. You sob, nobody attends to you. So you internalize a lesson. Showing vulnerability yields nothing. But when you grin, when you achieve, or when you entertain yourself, you receive validation, and that conditioning sticks. You carry this into maturity, where your suffering goes unspoken, and your indulgences grow louder, louder than your isolation, louder than your anxieties, and louder than the inner child who simply needed to be seen. Most people miss the fact that desire possesses a memory. Each time you use it to drown out distress, you program your biology to dread quietude. Silence becomes agonizing. This is why you cannot remain solitary, why you need background audio in the shower, and why a lack of noise feels like a penalty. Jung recognized this. He observed how bliss, when weaponized against ourselves, becomes a spiritual adversary. Not because joy is inherently bad, but because of our exploitation of it. The true foe is the avoidance it facilitates. Now, before we proceed, I have a request. If this message hits home, if you have ever felt that hollow regret after a moment that should have been joyful, subscribe. Not merely to help this insight spread, but to acknowledge that you are part of a community, and share in the comments which part resonated most, because admitting it requires immense bravery. Now, let me reveal the trap. Imagine a wanderer in a wasteland, pursuing illusions. Each time they approach one, it evaporates. Yet they never quit. They believe the next shimmering light will be authentic. That is the nature of purposeless indulgence. Ironically, the real joy that nourishes the spirit is often silent. It does not shout. It does not divert. It makes you bigger. It lives in a meaningful dialogue. It lives in finishing a task you dreaded. It lives in the moment you wake up realizing you are no longer a slave to your impulses. We rarely seek that variety because it demands effort, yet it is the only kind that matters. Jung famously remarked that people would attempt any absurdity to avoid looking at their own soul, and sensory distraction is the most seductive absurdity we have ever crafted. Let us look back again. You are small once more. You tumble and hurt your leg. It burns. You weep. And someone offers a treat. Stop crying, they say. Look at the screen. That event remains with you, not in your memory, but in your nervous system. Your mind learns that pain is a mistake, emotion is a flaw, remedy, stimulation. Pleasure becomes your interpreter. It speaks when you are too petrified to say, I am struggling. It performs when you are too exhausted to admit, I am hollow. It beams when you actually want to howl. But the secret no one shares is this: every time you swap a feeling for a distraction, you lose yourself. Jung cautioned that when the internal world is neglected, the external world screams. And what is more boisterous than our modern escapes? The feeds, the notifications, the binges, they roar so we do not have to perceive the truth. But perceive what? The longing underneath, the search for significance, the wish to belong, the scar of being ignored. You see, joy is not the villain. It is holy when chosen with clarity, but it turns toxic when it replaces your presence. Let me ask you, have you ever felt a sense of betrayal after indulging? After another episode? A regretful text, a useless purchase, or eating while bored? That remorse is not because you are immoral. It is because your spirit knows you were not actually fed. You just sidestepped the ache. This is where Jung is most misinterpreted. People assume shadow work is about being dark or intense. That is a surface-level view. Shadow work is about identifying the moments you abandon yourself for a quick fix and saying, I see what you are doing, and I choose reality over the exit. Consider a story. Someone could not stop jumping from one romance to the next. They claimed to be a romantic, but every cycle ended the same. Obsession followed by a crash. When asked why, they said they just loved the feeling. But that was a lie. What they loved was the diversion. Because when they were solo, the quiet became deafening. It turned out they never learned to coexist with their own wounds. So romance became the bandage until it lost its grip. This narrative is not unique. It is the secret biography of millions of people who mistake craving for affection, scrolling for connection, and numbing for restoration. The threat is not the existence of these joys. The threat is never asking why we are desperate for them. We must dismantle the myth. Pleasure is not a bridge to healing. It is not serenity. It is not authority. It is a resource. And resources, when abused, become lethal. Let us change the perspective. Recall the last time you practiced restraint. You ignored that notification, that urge, that impulse, and afterward you felt a sense of dignity. Why? Because self-regulation is not just restriction, it is building self-trust, and that trust is the ultimate reward. When you trust yourself, you are no longer a puppet. You choose your delights with intention. That is when life becomes vibrant again. Not a narcotic, but a ceremony. You are no screens, no noise, just you. Instead of anxiety, you feel a sense of home, not because you have everything, but because you are enough. This is what Jung called individuation, becoming a unified whole, not through self-punishment or grinding, but through reconciliation. The power to enjoy life without using it as a dressing for a wound. The power to sit in silence without terror. The power to be your own company and enjoy it. That is the objective. But you cannot reach it by chasing a series of highs. You arrive there by muting the distractions and listening to what they were drowning out. What does that require? It means noticing when you grab your phone and asking, what am I running from? It means allowing yourself to feel that isolation without covering it with sugar or scrolling. It means selecting the gradual joy, the one that requires focus and patience. Because the hidden reality is that authentic satisfaction is earned. The finest laughter is shared with a confidant. The best meal follows a day of purpose. The best bond follows a moment where you were truly understood. Let us pause for a second. If this has unsettled you, good. That is the sound of a wake-up call. It is not flashy. It is subtle. It is not theatrical. It is a choice, and the choice is clear. Will I continue to mask the pain with instant fixes, or will I face myself with courage without needing a sedative? Jung believed our troubles stem from our refusal to confront what we carry. Unconscious pleasure ensures we never have to face it. But now that the veil is lifted, what is your next move? Here we are. You have heard the warnings and felt the spark of recognition, the truth that shatters your illusions. To reclaim your existence from hollow habits, you must admit a hard truth. You abandoned yourself. Not in one big moment, but in 1,000 small ones. Every time you chose the easy dopamine, every time you said just a bit longer, every time you fled the silence because it spoke too clearly, every time you whispered, "This feels good," when you really meant, "This helps me forget." But this is not about guilt, it is about rebirth. You are not weak for surviving. You are now ready to truly live. Once you see the cycle that most pleasure was just a sedative, the old lures lose their power. The parties, the scrolls, the quick fixes, they no longer suffice. Because the problem was never boredom. It was the absence of your own presence. Imagine your life as a sanctuary. Inside lives your truth, your child, your memory. But instead of going inside, you build a circus in the front yard. You throw a festival while your inner self waits in the dark. That is what unchecked pleasure does. It creates a carnival so you never have to go home. But true restoration is walking through the gate, entering the sanctuary, and saying to yourself, "I am back, you are safe." Jung did not want us to be addicted to quiet. He wanted us to be fearless in it. Silence is not empty. It is the presence of everything we have ignored. Freedom is not the ability to indulge. It is the power to not need to. Real joy is the moment you realize you no longer need to run from who you are. You can sit in the stillness and smile because it is overflowing with truth. You become the person who carries their own peace. People will notice the change in your pace and your depth. They will wonder why you have stepped back from the noise. You will just smile, because you are finally present, and presence is the ultimate rebellion. You are a creator of meaning, and meaning is often difficult, but it is real. The next time the urge hits, ask, "What do I truly need?" That question hands you the pen back. You are not your hunger, you are the one who chooses how to feed it. You will never see pleasure the same way again, and that awareness will protect you. It will make your life sacred, because the joy you do not have to hunt is the only kind worth keeping. Be sure to like and join us at Winds of Thought for more.